Hi, my name is Sagufta and I am the Country Director for Women in Tech Fiji. Women in Tech is a global organization. It was formed in 2018 by the CEO Ayumi. And now Women in Tech has across, I think, chapters over 60 countries. Then we now have about 120 active members in our community. So just within a span of few months, we've been able to achieve that. So we're excited for the future. Founder had been a passion of mine for quite some time. I have worked in the startup space. I have a master's in entrepreneurship, startups, and design. So when I was there doing my master's in London, I saw the ecosystem that they had for startups. Not just the support that they have for startups, but the policies, the facilities that they had access to. And I was hoping to somehow recreate that back, in Fiji now, not just in Fiji, but beyond Fiji, in the Pacific region as well. So that's where the idea about creating a startup community came about. But when I got here, we realized that there were a lot of gaps. One was even at policy level, we were defining startups as a small business. When we went into conversations, I remember this one conference that I attended, and someone asked one of the high level sort of policymakers in the room that, can you define what a startup is? And then he said, oh, it's a small business, has less than 50,000 in earnings and has a small team, etc. That is a pure definition of a small business, whereas a startup is completely different. If you look at international and global landscapes, it's companies that has the potential to grow in an exponential they have an exponential growth rate in a very short period of time. They take risks, and then we sort of got into that discussion around what actually a startup is. So a lot of the work in the back end has been around actually first trying to define what the startup is, and then we can create an ecosystem, because without the right definition, we would not know who the partners are, where does the policy need changes, what is the actual kind of support that we need to grow that ecosystem. So cutting to found her, initially what we wanted to do was to have an ear on sort of bring in more startups come into the program, and sort of an yearly program, and we do the same with the investor cohort. But what we've realized is that these early stage founders need more support. So the next year is going to be about building them further, giving them the support, the mentorship, the network that they need to grow and flourish. And once we see that there is some growth within those businesses, then we can start on with the next cohort. So now we are going to have this as a 2-year kind of program, where first year is about ideation and incubation, and the second year is about then growth and getting them into the right spaces. Founder is a co-component of Women in Tech, but we have other programs that we'd like to run in the future, and all of our positions right now, including mine, we are all volunteers, and we do this for the love of the community and for, to support the young girls, to create that ecosystem, to create that environment that they don't have to focus about breaking glass ceilings. Somehow, somewhere, this has become a norm that, you're a woman, you have to break this glass ceiling, but it should not be there in the first place. And that is the kind of environment that we are trying to create, hopefully in the future, that women don't have to worry about, okay, let me break this glass ceiling first and then get into something. So hopefully through our work, through the time that we give to the work that we do, we hope to achieve that one day. This year, we were fortunate enough, of course, to have partners like Fiji National University, who came on board to support us with the venue. We had PTI NZ, who supported us with the funding to then be able to run the program. It would be great to have more partners on board so we can run it in a bigger way. Maybe not concentrated in Suva, try and go into the other parts of Fiji, probably taking these kind of trainings back to the communities as well. So the more support that we have from our partners, I think the better it is for us to be able to then provide that level of access to the women in other places in Fiji. And of course, to support our current founders who are going through this journey with us to access new sort of opportunities. So that's something that we're looking at, partnership. And partnership could be in any form. It could be resources, or it could be having a conversation with us, or having a conversation with some of our founders, or giving us that access to then be able to talk about who the founders are. So I think that is something that we need.